I'm guessing you're excited to be out of quarantine. That's the vibe right
Yes, yes, yes. I'm so excited. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that it wasn't like some of the other ones that when they got into Vegas since I live there. So, I'm sure if you guys follow me on social media, I got my little cage and sauna in there. So it was like, this is a normal day at home. So I didn't think that it would like play into fight week like it has going into this. But it's kind of crazy because the times are different still, anyways. Like, it was like I had a whole day and like I have night shift work, like normal training time from like 6 to 9. I'm busy.
now. Yeah.
It'd be normal training if I was home.
Obviously, I think everybody got concerned that your flight got delayed, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
you missed the wait a couple times. I know you don't hide from it, but I mean, has that impacted you at all? Is that causing any complications to your weight cut?
Well, I was hoping you were gonna say they were gonna pull the card back to Vegas. I was like, put Connor and fucking everybody on the flight. Bring him to Vegas since our flights changed. But man, I swear to you, like I knew that this question was probably gonna get asked to me so many times. But you know what's more disappointing, guys, is that nobody asked me if I was okay the first time I missed weight. But everybody wants to ask me about how I'm gonna make weight this next time. You know what I mean? Like, do we really live in that ingenuine of a world that we could see someone who has 12 UFC fights as well as 20 plus pro fights and never missed weight, but instead we just put them down first before we say, "Hey man, are you sick? Is everything all right?" Maybe you guys saw something in me that I didn't see, because I tell you what, I just watched that weigh-in and can't even believe that nobody came up to me and was like, I didn't watch that weigh-in. I like didn't even connect with it, and considering the things I was dealing with, the kind of brain fog I was going through, I can't even believe I even took the fight. I shouldn't even have taken the fight. I should have protected myself. And that, man, you guys, if you ever dealt with a health problem, man, you'll really know whenever you got to have your own back. And now that I know that, like I'm just a different person. Everything about me is different. So coming into this weight cut, I'm 136 right now. We knew that we were going to have to prove a point, right? So I had to be extra on point with everything. Like, I'm really, really excited about the way that things are going to go moving forward for me.
Does that force like a big change in you, like over, like just your understanding of the whole
Of
process?
life, not of life. We're talking like you guys, like I've been fighting for what, 14 years now? Like I still got the whole rest of my life to live. Like fighting is what I'm doing right now, and it is one of the biggest things I will ever do in this regard, but it's not the only thing I'm going to do. And the fact that fighting has taken me on so many levels. It's taken me to different countries. It's taken organs out of my body. You know what I mean? I've gotten weird fingers and stuff. Like I've got so many things now I can say to it that like, isn't that what life is about? Is about those experiences and them making you better, so that when you take on your next level of challenge, and that will be this fight, that I can take all of that experience and bring it forward and make myself better, right? And isn't that what I'm really, here to do, is to make myself better? And we're not talking about as a professional fighter, but as a person. As a person, I should be better every day than the person I was before. And I have that chance. I have a microphone to help other people. Remind yourself of how to do that for yourself.
Very nice. This fight itself, it's fun because it feels like you kind of got this message of positivity, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a beef between you two, and a little history between you two. Are you hoping to kind of avoid any of that? Are you trying to leave that behind, or does that kind of fun when you get in a fist fight?
Okay, so let's rewind this, right? And maybe because I'm just so much of a realist in life, what beef do I have? Jojo, did I cheat on? Like, did your boyfriend cheat on you and I saw something? Do I know something crazy? Like, do I know bad details about you? Like, do I know that, maybe you fart when you get out of the bathroom? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anything about you. All I know is that what you do when you fight. You fart? You must squeak one out over there. I don't know anything about JoJo. You know what I mean? So there's been conversation. There's Twitter. Like, you guys, we've got to stop with this social media. Like, oh, I said something on Twitter, so that means it's real. Or I got a real beef with you. Like, I don't have beef with anybody. Unless you physically have touched Athena, Diego, or messed with my family, or physically hurt me, you're just like you're a notch on my life. You're part of my belt, that if something I have to experience so that I can keep growing, something I can keep doing. So yeah, there's been maybe a couple interactions on Twitter. You know what I mean? I think one of them went back so many years ago when somebody like asked me a question about her, and I was like, oh, she needs to work on her cardio. And then she's like, I'll tell you how to work on your cardio. And it's like, did you just pick me out of all the other people that said the same thing because it's easier because I have a blue check mark? or is it that you want that? So if that's what's happened because of that, then whatever. It was actually I'd realized I'd heard somebody say that, because I don't follow some of the stuff anymore. I've detached myself in that way that social media gets me when I want to be there. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get free access to me. You know what I mean? Do people get free access to you in your normal life? Like, in your normal life, when you're not doing what you're doing right now, what if somebody just like came up to you and go, you interview me right now because I said so? Like, you don't get free access in that way all the time. So I had heard about her saying something about wanting to violently ruin my face. Well, of course, that's a part of the job, dear. That's what you should be saying. You know what I mean? Like, why don't you come up with something more original in that regard? But I'd heard that. So we both obviously train at the PI, and we see each other all the time. We've had personally good interactions up until we're both, her locker and my locker are right next to each other. My locker's right here and her locker is right here. Just so happens. But I'd gotten the shower and I came out and I'd noticed my stuff was kind of in the way, and I was like, oh man, my bad. Let me get my stuff out the way. And she didn't even have the decency as like a human being to be like, oh, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, then I realized, I'm like, oh man, this girl really doesn't like me. Like, me and Valentine have been around each other. Me and Caitlin have hugged it out in the bathrooms. Like, I don't have beef with anybody. If you have beef with me, it's probably because you don't like yourself. You know what I mean? And I've said something about you that you didn't like about yourself. So that's as much as I know in that regard with it. So JoJo, if that's what she needs to want to hate me a little bit more, then go for it, girl. Like, I'm loving myself. I'm so engulfed in myself right now. She doesn't even, like, I'll be fighting a version of myself on Saturday, right? Like, I'm going to be fighting as somebody else who wants to be the best, somebody else who is a professional fighter in the top 10, someone who's very similar to myself in that regard. So, like, I go out there and be the best me. There's nobody I can't beat, especially with no health issues. My back is good. My elbow's good. I don't have a dead organ in my body. I don't know what to say. Like, I mean, I'm sure you guys have all heard this from before. Like, oh, when she came from 35 to 25 and all this. But we have to remember every day we're a new person. And we're always trying to be better than the person we were the day before. So that's all that I can do.
Nice. Last thing for me. Let me ask you what your goal is here. I mean, obviously you want to win the fight. But is this about, like, proving people wrong? Is it about establishing the rankings? Or it kind of seems like you kind of want to have, like, a social message, like a platform to, like, help people. So, I mean, what is this goal? What is the goal here?
Obviously, I want to help people, you guys. Like, right now, you're still living through a pandemic. People are dying all the time. You know what I mean? Like, people are passing away on a regular basis. And whatever your beliefs are in any possible way, the fact of the matter is people are still dying. And that's really unfortunate. And we need to take care of the people next to us. Take care of our neighbor. Ask them if they need help. Check on each other. Maybe a little less hate might make us a little bit better. And that doesn't mean that you have to go out of your way to do something, but maybe why don't you stop and rewind for a second. So no, it's not about social proving. It's just about maybe someone else seeing a little piece of me in them, and they go, I need to be a little bit stronger for myself. I have those little, like, things like that for myself. Billie Eilish was one of them. You know what I mean? I definitely liked her ability to stand out and just do what she wanted. And I think that by nature, I would like to inspire people. When it comes down to the actual fight itself, boy, do I want to show some of the things that I'm capable of doing, guys. I am capable of so much more. I mean, people say to me, like, even that, like, I've trained with me, like, you should be so much more. You have to get out of your own way. And I have to do that this time. Like, I have to do that for me. So this fight's strictly for me. Like, it goes just to Jessica. I could be like, this would be one of those times where I wish nobody was in the arena, so it was just like me and the other person in that way. And it was just like, look, it's just you and me, dude. Let's throw down. So I feel like I finally have that. I didn't say that. No. So, well, it's almost like when I thought about not having the fans in the arena, right? Because I've fought on Fight Pass before, right? So I've been there was only a few people, right? So it was like, whatever. I'm sure, I'll guarantee you there was more people in the Apex when we fought than there were on some of those early Fight Pass cards, right? Which we need to make sure people start getting there and watching the whole card. But, I noticed that the coaching stuff changed, right? It wasn't until Cynthia had mentioned that she could hear us the whole time that by going into this one, we developed a couple more codes and names for things so that, again, jab. You know what I mean? When there's no one when there's no one in the arena, dude, like what? Okay. You know what I mean? So like I'm excited to have them back in there for them and for that regard and to be able to kind of have that excitement. I think that a lot of things, it did change some of the judging. You know what I mean? It goes back to, like, I think Greg Jackson might have been one of the first ones that used to do it back in the early years. And one of my coaches actually did it, but like encouragement. Yes, you're doing great. Woo! You know what I mean? These things kind of encourage the judges, and we still don't have a good judging system yet. That I feel that really works so well for us that it's like across the board. Like all the judges have to go to the same school, or like in the NFL and the NBA, like you can't be one of their refs unless you have their exact certification. So hopefully the UFC in the next decade will certify these judges and refs, and you have to have X amount of things to make sure it happens.
And then going back to what you said going through like a health scare really showed you need to have your own back. Did you have to cut a lot of people out of your life when you were going through this?
I think by nature, yeah, that it was happening that way naturally, because I when I moved to Vegas, I made some new friends and stuff like that. And I don't think people really knew me. So that like by nature, they're like, oh, well, maybe she's just being away. You know what I mean? There was no understanding of like who I really was. But even more so before that, like a part of leaving, Cleveland was like looking out for my health. Like I knew something wasn't right. I don't have parents, you know what I mean? I don't know anybody else if you're like this, but like I'm here for me, man. Like my brothers are not rich. You know what I mean? Like I'm my retirement plan. I'm my in case I got a bad day, I got to go home. Like I go to my house. I don't run to anybody's house. I don't get to go lay on somebody else's couch and be that way. So it really made me be like, like the whole team and MMA thing, you know what I mean? Like I'm on the I team, man. Like I realized like I got to be my best person, and that starts with me, the number one.
In the main event here, big main event. Everybody's excited about.
Yeah.
Dustin Connor. How you see that one going down?
God, it's so crazy. It's fighting. I hate predicting anything. I'm not the kind of person that wants to predict a whole lot of stuff because we've seen it go so many different ways in that regard. But I think it'll be fun. I think it's a good fight to have back. You know what I mean? Like Khabib's gonna be in the house, and it's Connor, and we're kind of in Khabib's neck of the woods, so it's fun. It's like it puts energy around everybody in such a good positive way. So it's exciting to have one of the first big cards back to be on it. I mean, at first I was like, I'm my co-main eventing it, and I knew that like I wasn't, you know what I mean? I'm like, there's no way, like after all the BS that I've done, they're gonna put me on the co-main event, right? Like, come on, let's be serious here. And I knew that I'm like, wait a minute, there's gonna be somebody else. But then I was like, you know what? I deserve to be on a Connor card. Like I'm a good person. I fight hard. I bring it every single time, and I deserve to be one of these recognized people on it. So that part I'm excited about, right? There'll be tons of people tuning in. So people might not have ever known me, might know me now and see the best part of me, and instead of seeing some of the worst ends.
It sounds like you've been on a bit of a journey of discovery in the past couple of years, right? So I'm curious, if you could go to like a 2017 Jessica Wright, what advice would you tell yourself?
Don't give up. Like, there's a means to the end. Like something's going on. You don't have to feel like you're alone. Like I was dealing with a lot of confusion. My father had passed away. My team, there had been some arguments with my team. Like I love Strong Style. Like I mean I haven't really talked much about it. I love them. It's unfortunate what happened, with them, but I will always support them. I said earlier in the interview, Marcus, you will always be the biggest inspiration in my life. It's unfortunate things happen that way, but now it shows me how much I have to be a grown woman and learn all the things that you've learned in your life, right? Like, so your parents teach you these things, these life teaches you these experiences, and you don't really know how to apply them until one day you're forced. And it's like, you got to apply it. How are you going to apply all the things that you learned? So I feel like, better late than never that I'm starting to get some of these things, applied to my life. in that regard. And obviously 2020 was a really hard year for a lot of people in those ways, and including myself. And I'm really glad to be on the other end of it. So I would say, don't stop believing, Jessica, because I did. I stopped believing in myself, and I stopped believing in the first thing that I ever got me into fighting, and saying I believed. I believed in myself, and it was about me, and it was for others. Nobody believed women's MMA was going to exist. You know what I mean? Like, nobody said this would be here, and I'm here, and I will keep proving these kinds of things, and I'll keep working at them, and I'll keep going in that regard. So I'm proud of myself, man. I feel like I'm more proud of this than I have ever been in any fight. That like I can't, like, I'm like just like clenching with excitement to just get on the scale, and then just to get into that octagon on Sunday and just feel alive. You know what I mean? I'm alive, and I'm healthy, and I'm doing what I want. There's been a lot of tragedy lately, so it's like, let's live off some of the positivity. We done? Cool, yay! Thanks for listening to me talk.